something you've been putting off. Maybe you say, someday I'll do that, or when I have more time. Whether the item is a big bucket list item or something smaller like going on a hike, now is the time to start your Say Yes list. And we have the perfect process to help you turn these items into reality. Join thousands of others with our free Say Yes list template at thesayesexperience.com/list. It'll help you stop living in that someday and start making those list items come true today. So download it now at thesayesexperience.com/list. Welcome to the Say Yes Experience podcast, where we inspire you to get out of your comfort zone and into possibility. Our mission at the Say Yes Experience is to empower 10 million people to say yes. If you're new here, welcome. We're thrilled you're here. I'm Jessica Rector. I co-founded the Say Yes Experience with my then 9-year-old son Blaze, based off his idea to let's just say yes to things. I'm one of the top experts on burnout, and companies and conferences hire me to present on mental health, wellness, and burnout prevention. As a #1 best-selling author of 11 books, keynote speaker, and a burnout specialist, I've seen so much with our clients. The Say Yes Experience was started to help you really start living, to do the things that light you up, have more fun, and turn your dreams, or what we call Say Yes list items, into reality. So thank you for investing in yourself and being here. Now let's make it happen. What if your culture dictated what type of career you had? And in order to follow what you wanted, you had to go against your parents and that culture. Would you do it? Or would you stay in a career that you didn't really love? Our guest today, Ruhina Mehra, shares with us what it was like to go against her parents and her culture to really say yes to herself and to choose happiness, and where that's led her. And so please help me welcome Ruhina Mehra. Woo! Thanks for being on the show today, Ruhina.
I'm so excited to be here, Jessica. Thank you so much for having such a wonderful show. It's such a positive thing, to put out there, just saying yes and seeing what different people do. So really happy you have this space and really happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. So share with us a little bit more, like take us back to what that big say yes was in your life.
Yeah, of course. So the big yes for me, there's so many little ones, but the big one that I'm really talking about is saying yes to myself. And, this goes way back, of course, to my childhood. And the story of really a South Asian immigrant family is my story, or at least, one of the perspectives that I'm sure many other immigrants have. But I moved to the US at the age of 9. And I grew up in a very typical South Asian family. The expectations were always, especially from a family that left everything behind, family, like a familiar lifestyle. The expectations once you move to a new country, especially a country like the US, that gives you so much opportunity, is to make the best of that opportunity and then achieve something that can guarantee financial safety. And so the expectation for me was always, do something very high status, high money, whatever. And I followed those dreams because it made sense. It made
so logical. Like what? Like a doctor, lawyer, or something like that?
Doctor, lawyer, engineer. I specifically chose the doctor route. I actually recall some of my family members telling me at a very young age, you're so smart, you can become a doctor. And I was like, yeah, I can do that. And I took that though very, it became a part of my identity. And I didn't know that, at 4 years old, you hear someone say that to you, you're like, sure. Some people let that go. They explore other things over time. I took it very seriously.
Yeah. Well, was it kept being repeated to you as well? And then that kind of becomes a story that you tell yourself even from a young age, okay, I'm going to be a doctor because, if it keeps getting repeated as well.
Absolutely. And yeah, quite honestly, I don't remember how many times it was told to me. It was almost like the undercurrent in the home. I do remember it being said at least twice out loud. And so then it became I would then repeat it. And then it was, affirmed from everyone outside of me, yeah, you can do that. So that was my identity. And, I have cousins and, other family members that experience similar things too. So it wasn't just me. I may have taken it the most seriously out of everyone that I know. But so I grew up with this, not really necessarily exploring other options, always assuming I would become a doctor, went to all it's like finished school, went to college, it's pre-med. And then towards the end of college is when I was like, I think there's other things that I just like haven't done. And I don't know if this is the right path. Like I was always interested, even with the doctor path, I was always interested in mental health and kids. I always said to myself, I'm either going to become like psychiatrist or a pediatrician if I become a doctor.
Yeah.
And it made logical sense. Again, I've always wanted to really help people. That's like my core, and that's what I thought I was following. Like that was the like nugget I thought I was following that was inside. And it made logical sense. So, did all of that. And then but once I finished college, I started reassessing because I shadowed doctors. I'd done a lot of like in hospital work, and it was like, I don't know if this is quite right. Like it doesn't, the healthcare system is also so, I don't know, backed up, layered. It's not an easy, just like you could quick fix to help people in the way I would like to. It definitely.
So how did you know that it wasn't quite right though? Because especially if that's what you thought you would be doing for your whole life up until that point.
Yeah. It was, I mean, a combination of things. Like the classes weren't always like things that appealed to me. I kind of like pushed through. I took all the classes, I did everything. I powered through them, but I was never like excited about them. Maybe a couple classes here and there I was excited about. So it was like hard to get through the classes and hard to get through school. And also I didn't know how to put this. I couldn't articulate this at the time, but I think I always really wanted one-on-one personal interaction. Like that's where I really get the most fulfilling feedback and also can see results. And I went through the healthcare system. Like I watched doctors, like after shadowing them, like they're with their patients for 10 minutes. Like this is not this limited interaction.
That's so true. Yeah.
This limited interaction, like how do you really get to know someone? And again, I couldn't articulate my own like desires at the time, but what I really wanted is to spend time with someone and sit with them and like get to know them and help them with whatever issues were going on.
Right.
But then because I didn't fully identify that at the time, I actually ended up switching gears and went to the back end of the healthcare system. I got my master's in health administration because I was like, this system's a mess. Like, how does anyone do anything?
Maybe I can help in that way.
Yeah. And so then I went to grad school for that. And then I got into working and it was fine. Like, for a couple of years, it was okay. And then I think it was about 4 years ago while I was working, I went on a vacation. It was like a 3-week trip. And I was like, this is going to be rejuvenating. I'm going to come back,
Yes.
And then I came back and I was like, oh no, I don't want to go back to work. And that was my like, the lightning moment or light bulb moment. And I was like, okay, this is the problem. Like I came back from a 3-week vacation, that's like about as long as you can probably take for a vacation in the corporate world. And that's when I started thinking like, I don't know if I can do this for the next 30 years of my life. And I need to start looking into what I can do for the next 30 years of my life because I'm going to burn out like very quickly.
So how did you go through that process? Like, there's so many times, even when people come back from a weekend and they're like, oh, I don't want to go back to work, when it's Monday, right? And they've had the weekend off. Oh, I don't want to go back to work. Or they get back from a vacation. They're like, I need a vacation from my vacation. And I definitely don't want to go back to work. What's the difference between something like that and taking a step to like really reevaluate where you are and do the whole kind of thing of what you did, saying yes to something completely different, which is what we'll get into in a minute. But how did you transition between thinking that maybe this is something I'll work through, I'll get over, it'll be fine once you go back to work, like you'll get back into the routine and the thick of things and, everything will be great again versus nope, I need to reevaluate like where I am and where I'm going.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was the first moment that occurred to me. And then there were a few other things that happened and like a few other things that made me realize like this is affecting my entire life. And I would have continued, but I started realizing, so I was single, I'm still single, but I was single at the time and I'd been dating off and on and I didn't realize it at the time, but I think I was expecting someone to come into my life and then I would be like, okay, now I can like get the stability of that. And then I'll consider transitioning careers. That was always what was at the back of my mind. I don't want to do it like on my own. And I kind of was waiting for someone to like jump into my life. And then I could do all these like things that I saw as really difficult. But then I think that same year, a few months later, I started realizing, oh no, like until I do this for myself, regardless of whether I have a partner or not, it doesn't matter. Like I'm never going to be again, just like dating and thinking about this constantly, it helped me realize like, oh no, I need to figure out my own life before someone else comes into it. And that was another like big lightning moment for me. Like, oh, like whether or not there's someone to support me or not, I have to support myself first. And whether
Yes.
mentally or financially, whatever it looks like, it has to be me doing it. And then hopefully someone else can come in to not
Mm-hmm.
fill a void and fill a hole of some kind. They're coming in just to,
Yes.
appreciate who I am as a partner and support, in whatever way. Like if I do want to transition again in my life, then hopefully they
Right.
support me, but I shouldn't
I
be
think
counting.
that's so powerful, Ruhina, because I think a lot of people sit there and say, okay, well, this isn't working. This area of my life isn't working, or I'm going to wait until I get a partner and then I'm going to fill in the blank, right? Then I'm going to go out there and take risks. Then I'm going to travel more. Then I'm going to find the career that I really love and the things I'm going to start doing those things that I enjoy when, and you fill in the blank, right? When I have more time, more money, when I have a partner, when I have someone to do it with, when I'm more financially stable, which I'll get when I have a partner. We start creating all these stories in our life. And in some ways, when we're creating those stories, we think that we can't do it on our own and by ourselves or without somebody else doing it. So why can't you go out and be financially secure by yourself? Why can't you go out and figure out how to travel or go on the adventures or explore or whatever it is you're wanting to do? So I love what you said. Like I was kind of waiting for this person to come in and fill that. And then I thought, hey, well, no, I can do it first. And then once we are financially stable, once we have our stuff figured out, what we want to do and where we're going, then that person comes in and you're really partners as opposed to, I'm wanting and needing someone to fill this void. And then, they also happen to be a good partner. So they're not coming and filling anything, but really you're on the same path and you're going to walk that path together as well. So I think what you said was extremely powerful for people to hear, for them to work on themselves, figure out their own stuff. And then when the partner comes in, you've got that stuff worked out and you don't have to wait until a certain time or a certain moment for someone to fill or something to fill a void before you can go out there and start doing it. But you can go out there now, and part of the journey in the process is, as you've discovered, we've all discovered, like figuring it out. Like that's part of, you'll have the highs and the lows, but that's part of it, is figuring all those things out. And you're so much more capable than oftentimes we realize.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that was 4 years ago. I didn't, quit my job, start everything like immediately. It took me a lot of time to settle in to those like thoughts, like ruminate on
Mm-hmm.
what I needed to do next. I was like, let me just explore my options. I took a
Yes.
coaching course. I was still working. I was still like bringing in my money for myself. Like, because what I was afraid was losing my lifestyle and losing, my
Mm-hmm.
financial stability and jumping into something with complete uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a coaching course, I took some courses here and there, I tried different things. I never felt certain about anything. And then I think it was finally about, so yeah, last year, that was 3 years after that. So 2019 is when I had those realizations. 2021, 2022, last year, I was like, I think I need to shift, because I was 3 years into this like discovery and I was really starting to burn out. I was like, I gotta move.
Mm.
So I finally took the leap and, started my business, and it's a work in progress every day. And I'm saying
Yes.
yes to myself every day. Being an entrepreneur is not an easy journey either. There's no easy journey. I'll say that. There's different difficulties that
Right.
come with every path. You're choosing different, things that you want to work through on a daily basis. But I at least feel like now I'm being my most authentic self, and I understand my most authentic desires. And
Yeah.
so the difficult things become a little bit easier because I'm now working towards a vision that feels more aligned with who I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then also, not only doing that, but it allows you to grow and develop and become a better you. So then you can go out there and, I always feel like when we're being better versions of ourselves, we can go out there and it changes how we communicate with people, how we lead, how we show up. It builds our confidence along the way. But if we always stay in this little safe place, only doing what we know, we're never going to grow and really be able to live life to the fullest, because we're always going to hold ourselves back in some capacity. So what have you found? You're still in the journey, right? So you said yes, it took you a little while to actually make that leap, but what have you found in making that leap?
Yeah. Well, it's not even just the leap. For me, it was also the journey. It was both. There's so many benefits to both. I learned so much about myself. And that's the biggest thing that I also want to do in my work. Like, I want to help people learn about themselves. I learn about myself. And by doing that, I have better relationships with, of course, with myself. I have a much better relationship with myself. I'm a much more confident person. I'm so much more attuned to what I want in the world. And I have relationships with my family, with my friends. Like, I can be, again, more truthful and honest. When you start with honesty within yourself, it reflects outwards. Is how and of course, I have a better relationship with like career, work, things. Yes, things are hard. Sometimes they're not. I mean, there's days that are great. There's days that are difficult, but I don't know. It's easier in that I like feel like I'm moving towards like excitement and joy every day. That's the biggest like difference in
more freeing too,
Absolutely.
because you're waking up knowing that you're going to enjoy what you're doing. And even the things that you don't like in entrepreneurship, you realize that you've got to do them in order to get to where you have to be. Or I should say, and in the process of doing them, you also find out more about yourself and say, yes, I do not like that. Yes. Or I am not great at that. I tried it and great. Now I know that that is not my expertise, and I know my strengths are over here. And those are opportunities I can work on to improve. Those are things that we find out. What are some other things that you found out throughout the process? You said you found out a lot about yourself. What are some of the things you found out and discovered?
Yes, I found out, I've always been someone who chooses to look at life as like, I'm in the present moment. I won't regret anything. And I that outlook is something I've always tried to carry. Something that I really appreciate is actually my work experience. It has helped me immensely in my job, in my new entrepreneurship journey. Like, there are things that are easier for me, little things. Like, I was a project manager before. So like, I can understand how the corporate world works. If I didn't have that experience, I think going in blindly to this entrepreneurship journey would have been like 100 times more difficult for me.
Right.
So that's one thing. Another thing is that a bigger thing is that I really can do, like, I can achieve what I want as long as I really, you hear it all the time. Like, you can do whatever you want. You can put your mind to something. I think you can do something if your heart is really in it. We're always taught to think with our minds, but my mind was always going. My heart was never in it. And I didn't know it needed to be. I didn't understand that. And a lot of people don't, A lot of people are like, yeah, why do we need to do that? Like, financial stability matters. It absolutely does. I do not like recommend everyone go through this process the same way I'm doing it. I happen to have a savings built up. So I was able to, go in with a cushion and start this whole journey. But yeah, life is different when you do things that really light you up and bring you joy. Like, it's just so much more exciting.
Do you want to start saying yes, but you just don't know where to start? And oftentimes when we don't know where to start, we just don't start. So we created an ebook just for you. We put together 101 ways to say yes. In this ebook, ideas big and small, things that only take a small amount of time, like 1 to 2 minutes. Whether you're saying yes to yourself, in your family, relationships, or pushing yourself lovingly outside of your comfort zone with adventures, it's all made to really help you become more of your rock star self. So you can get this ebook at thesayyesexperience.com/book, BOOK. So if you want to start saying yes, or maybe you need some ideas on how to say yes because you get so caught up in being busy and doing tasks and projects, or doing laundry and cooking that the time flies by and you want to spend time with your family, but you just don't know how to say yes. Those ideas just don't come to you. We put it together to make it super, super easy for you. So go to thesayyesexperience.com/book to get your copy today and start saying yes now. Are you feeling overwhelmed, stressed, or burned out? We get it. You're not alone. In fact, according to our research, 79% of the workforce is in burnout and almost half are in extreme burnout. In fact, it's the number one reason why people are leaving organizations. They're burned out. They're looking for something more. They're looking for something better. But it doesn't have to be that way. We have your solution. It's called Blaze Your Brain to Extinguish Burnout. 52 Keys to Prevent, Breakthrough, and Eliminate Burnout. You can find your copy at justcorrector.com/store. Now, this is a great tool that you can use with yourself, with your colleagues, within your organization. Everyone can get one, and you can go through one a week with them. And at the end, you can say, what was something that worked this week? What was the success you had? So you can champion and encourage each other. You can also ask what were the challenges and issues that came up, so you can mastermind and brainstorm around those to keep those from coming up in the future. So make sure you get your copy at justcorrector.com/store. All books are autographed with a personal message just for you.
And I love how you say when your heart is in it, because when your heart is in it, even if you don't know how to do something, you'll figure it out. I mean, if your heart is not in it and someone tells you to go figure it out, after 2 minutes, you're like, I'm done. I just want it to be easy. But if your heart's in it, you'll sit there and you'll spend hours trying to figure it out, researching, asking people. Like you'll do what it takes in order to get it done if your heart is in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And another thing I've also learned is really to question my desires. I don't mean this in like a constantly like, why do I want this all the time? But like, I try to think about like, where's this coming from? Is this coming from me? Or is this coming from some external factor or source that you mentioned it? Like, why is this interesting to me? Is it exciting to me from the inside? Or am I worried about someone else's expectations of me or how they might perceive me if I do like X, Y, Z? And so that's something I'm cognizant of. I mean, again, I'm not perfect. So like there are I'm sure things that I might do because someone said something or suggested something, but I can identify at least better within myself why I'm
and be aware of it enough to even ask yourself that question, right? Is this coming from me, or is it something that someone said to me, or something that I saw someone do, so I think I should be doing it? I think a lot of times when we get to adulthood, we make decisions based on what someone told us we should do, or how someone told us how we should be, or how we see someone else behaving, or what someone else is doing. And we think, oh, I need to be like that too, or I need to have that career because look what they have when they have that career. Or I've been told all my life that you're going to be a doctor, so I have to be a doctor. And we forget to decide for ourselves. We forget that we have opinions, that we have desires, that we have needs and wants. And yet we're acting based on what we've heard or seen from somewhere else instead of saying, whoa, but is that really what I want? You know, and it's interesting if you ask other people, why do you think that way? Or why do you believe that way? A lot of times they won't know because it's something that they've been ingrained, that's been ingrained in them since they were a kid, or their parents believe that, or that's what the way the parents think. And so it just passes down as opposed to them doing exactly what you're saying. Is this something I want? Is it something I really think or I believe? And why do I think that? Why do I believe that? Why do I want that? But when we create that self-awareness enough to ask ourselves, we may realize we don't really want that. We don't really want that career, or we don't really like that. But we just keep going and doing the same things as we've always done and forgetting to say, but is that about me, or is that really about someone else?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what did your parents think when you told them, hey, I'm not going to be a doctor, or even, I mean, what they say when you said, I'm not going to be a doctor? And then how did they respond when you said, I'm going to now start my own business?
I think they saw me struggle a little bit through, I think they saw that I wasn't excited they understood by the time I got to that first point, that first transition that I made from doctor to something else. Like they let me make my decision for myself. At that time, I still didn't know I was operating from like the decision making of other people, because it takes years to really unpack that, or it takes a lot of like deep work at least to unpack that. And at like the age of 23 or so, that's, not a lot of people know themselves that well.
No, not at all.
And yeah, so they were okay with it. The bigger struggle was in the last year, actually, when I made the big leap into entrepreneurship. They wanted me to have a backup plan. Like I gave them, I was like, this is my timeline, plan, money, all that. Things did not work out accordingly. And they were like, what's going on now? What's next? But by then, quitting actually is what gave me the confidence. Quitting my job and diving headfirst is what helped me like unlearn even more things, and like peel back more layers and heal, so you can say, from a lot of things I didn't know I needed to work through, like my relationship with money. I really needed to take a closer look at it and understand the fears that were around it.
Yes.
Well, it is easier for me to now say to them, I'm doing this because I believe in it. Like I am not dependent on I obviously want their support and I want them to care about what I'm doing. And they're there for me. They like want, they just want my safety, really, at the end of the day, to be the best person I can be and be happy. So yeah, it's easier though for me now to say I'm doing this and I have faith in myself. I didn't have that before. So that was,
and you know what? When your back's against the wall, that you're basically like sink or swim, you will find the strength and the know-how to figure things out and to swim, right? You'll find, I always say, like, when you're jumping off a cliff like that, you're either going to find solid ground or you're going to find your wings, because you'll figure it out. You don't have a regular job to go to that's taking up 9 hours of your time. You can literally devote all your time to your business. Now, I'm not saying everybody needs to jump off a cliff and go start a business, but those who are really saying, I'm being pulled in different directions, this isn't really what I'm wanting, I'm feeling like there's something more, really take the time to explore that, because that voice, if you will, isn't going to go away until you do. In fact, it'll probably just keep getting stronger and stronger until you start listening, until you start paying attention. But I know for me in my entrepreneur journey, it was when my back was against the wall. That's when I was like, okay, what resources do I have? What do I need? Who can I go to ask for help? All those things that when you have this little cushion, of a job or a part-time job or other income coming in, you tend to not do that. But let me tell you, when my back was against the wall, I was like, okay, I need to pay rent. How am I going to do that? And that was literally what changed everything for me in my journey, was just going and asking someone for help and then doing the work. They said, hey, this is what, here's what you go home and do. And I went and did that. And then we met up again. And then he said, go home and do this. And every time I did it, because I believed in me, I bet on me. And I think as an entrepreneur, and just as women, as people, when you bet on yourself, you will always win. It doesn't mean you always have the answers, right? But you will always win because you believe in yourself and you're not going to give up on yourself.
Oh, 100%. I mean, my outlook on life has shifted so much in the last few years. Like it's almost hard to believe I'm the same person. I mean, if you ask someone 4 years ago, like me now, me then, people are like, I did not see this coming at all. Like you can see the visceral difference, like coming from inside me. At least I assume you can.
In what way?
I think I walk through life just more certain in the decisions I make. I was always so uncertain before, just like, is this right? Is this not right? And I was just operating on a baseline that was like, okay, get up, do the thing, like do the thing, the next thing. I'm not like that anymore. Of course I can make my own schedule, which is very freeing for someone like me. Different people like different ways of working. I do love structure, but I like some freedom within the structure.
Yeah.
That works well for me. So yeah, I think again, once you're more certain of yourself, it emanates outwards. It doesn't matter to me as much what people think of me. Of course, there's little things come up. It's much easier for me to brush it off. Like you don't support or appreciate like this part of me, then it's fine. I'm not for you. It's okay. I grew up as like very much of a people pleaser. So I needed to be liked. I wanted to be liked. It was a big part of who I was. And there's always tendencies that come back in because I'm still human. But for the most part, I've been able to, I can at least recognize now and be like, I want that person's positive feedback. And I can say, okay, it's not important. Like, it doesn't matter. How will that really affect me or impact me? Like, I can work through it much more quickly.
Yes. And I think that goes along with, building your confidence, and especially through a process like that, when you're building your confidence, you, at the end of the day, you're like, okay, do I like me? Can I look in the mirror and say, you know what? You're awesome. You're amazing. You're doing a great job. You're getting out there. You're being yourself, because as long as you're being yourself, it shouldn't matter what anybody else thinks of you, right? Or of what you're doing. But if you're being true to yourself and following your heart and what you think that you need to be doing for you, then that's what matters, because that also lights you up, and you probably have a different energy and aura around you. And, because that joy that's coming through for yourself, because you're enjoying life a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also just like would love for your audience to know, this is something I'm really big on telling people, like, it's never too late to start anything. Like, we're taught that life should look a certain way. And I just really don't believe in a lot of people go to college at a certain age, you go to school at a certain age, you get married at a certain age, have kids at a certain age. Some things you have to do, of course, having children, like, you're impacted by certain other external factors. But we live in a country, like the US really allows people to explore so many things at any age possible. Like, a country like India is a little bit much more limited. Like, you get out of school and you have to decide your career. Like, you have to go straight into college knowing what you want to be. And that's the mentality my family was operating under, because that's what they grew up with. And I 100% understand that. But here you can go back to school at age 45 if you really want to. So I just want to
go back at 80 if you want to.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime. So I'm not, again, advocating that everyone quit their job and just like run after, whatever it is, but like, you can explore. Like, if you have the ability, if you have the time and the space in your life and maybe the financial setup. I mean, I know there's people out there also who, live differently, and not everyone has the financial means to do that, which is a different story. But if you have it, why not? Like, do something that excites you. Try something.
Yes. And start saying yes. That is so empowering. And we are so grateful that you are here sharing your say yes. And hopefully it empowers and inspires others to take that leap, jump off that cliff, and really explore what is in line for them, especially if they're having any of those inner talks with themselves, those feelings where they know that, okay, this isn't for me. Maybe there's something out there for them. And so really, what do you want people to know or gain from your say yes?
I think it's some of the things I covered, like, you can try things. It's really never too late. Like, be excited about life. That's the point. We're living. Like, be excited now. What excites you? Say yes to that.
Yes.
And
now's the perfect
time with yourself. I think that's really important, whether it's, through therapy, coaching, whatever that might be, or even if you're just good at introspecting and looking inwards, like, start asking yourself, why do I do the things that I do? Am I doing this because of external pressure? Am I doing this because I really want to? And the more you do that, the more self-awareness you have, and the clearer you get on your goals versus like other people's goals. And then you can start following your goals.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Ruhina. We appreciate you sharing your say yes experience. And we hope that you go out there and do a little introspective on yourself so you can learn more about your desires and what you're really wanting, and see if there's another path out there for you and what you need to say yes to in your life. Figure out why you're doing things. Is there some other reason? What's behind it? And then follow your desires. We'll see you next time on Say Yes Experience. Bye-bye.
Are you ready to move to your next level of rockstar greatness? CFO, Chief Fun Officer, #1 best-selling author, and keynote speaker Blaze Rector is ready to help you do that. At just 10 years old, he's already written 2 #1 best-selling books. Through the power of storytelling, he uses lessons learned and shares strategies, tips, tactics, and tools to inspire, empower, and motivate you to live a more amazing life. So if you're ready to do that in your own life, grab a copy of his #1 best-selling books at justgorector.com/store. And when you order your copies, he will personally autograph them and write you a message on those books before shipping them out to you to really inspire and empower you in your life. These books are great for adults and kids alike. So if you're ready to move to your next level of rockstar greatness, make sure you grab your copy at justgorector.com/store. Enjoy those amazing, empowering, transformational books. Did you know that the two biggest issues impacting the workforce are mental health and burnout? Well, we have your solution. The more that you feel burned out, the more it impacts your mental health. The more your mental health is impacted, the more it leads to burnout. So it's a vicious cycle that goes around and around, but it doesn't have to be that way. You can help them both if you're intentional and strategic with it. We have lots of resources for you at justgorector.com/store. One that I want to highlight that really enhances your mental health is Tame Your Brain Game, 52 Tips to Turn Negative Thoughts into Positive Action. Now, research shows that 80% of your thoughts are negative. No matter how positive you feel, it's the pattern and the habit that you've developed over the course of years, over the course of decades. And that can often impact your life, how you show up, how you lead, how you communicate, how you engage, whether at work or at home. And then it also impacts a work environment. All you need is one NN or TT, negative Nancy or toxic Tim, to really impact that work environment. So if you are ready to enhance your mental health, get your copy of Tame Your Brain Game, 52 Tips to Turn Negative Thoughts into Positive Action today at justgorector.com/store. All books are autographed with a personal message just for you. Thank you so much for being here. Check us out at thesayyesexperience.com. Our mission at the Say Yes Experience is to empower 10 million people to say yes. With your help in sharing our podcast, we can do that. Follow us on all social media at the Say Yes Experience and join our free community at facebook.com/groups/the Say Yes Experience. Thank you again to our guest. You can find all the contact information for our guest in the show notes. Thank you to our CFO, Chief Fun Officer, Blaze Rector, our business advisor, Lisa Bahurick, and to our team at Jessica Rector Enterprises. We look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Have an amazing day and keep being a rock star.